What's up, guys? Yes, judging from the title, it's another Hunter X Hunter video. But don't worry, guys, if you don't watch it, don't worry. I'm coming to the end of the series, which is why the videos are coming out very quickly. Soon they will be over with, it's gonna be sad. But I'm very close to coming to the end of the manga series. It hasn't ended from what I've been told, but the author's been on hiatus for over half a year. So once I get to the end of the series, it's technically the end until he comes back from hiatus. Anyhow, this is pretty much more discussion on the Chimera Ant arc, the longest arc of the series. A lot to say about it, but this is mainly going to be on from where I left off, 249 to about 258, and I'm going to keep reading after this video is filmed. So all I have to say is there are some heart-wrenching moments. The author really does a good job in just evoking emotion. At the same time, he's definitely known for his sort of dark vibe that he displays in his manga. Especially in his other manga like Yu Yu Hakusho. He shows it here, and what he does is he pretty much sort of I would describe it as he reveals the darker side of humanity in real life. So and again, this is for a mature audience, and spoiler alert, by the way, he does stuff like freaking he alludes to sex and stuff like that. In fact, it's very clear that Palm went in and did some deeds, dark deeds, that she did not want to do, but she faked in order to act as a spy and get into the Chimera Ant King's temple. And if you still don't understand my vague phrasing, pretty much she pretended to be a secretary for one of the human workers in this temple, and the human worker pretty much wanted sex, and so she did that. And personally, again, this is a review video. I mean, again, the author does a very good job of displaying these dark things, and I didn't like it because obviously Palm is she's a very innocent creature, an innocent human. She wanted to just simply go on a date with Gon, and then here she is, doing all these darker, more mature acts, and it's kind of like a disconnect, which I believe is what the author wanted to evoke. It's just a sort of destruction of innocence that we see multiple times, especially in his old manga series Yu Yu Hakusho, and that's for sure. I mean, again, spoiler alert, but in Yu Yu Hakusho there was a very clear reference to one of the three kings of the demon world, who pretty much became or found his powers after splashing acid on herself to escape being a rape servant, and through that she developed her powers and became one of the most powerful people in the demon world. But back to this manga, this is sort of like that again, and it's kind of the only thing I don't really understand is how can she be so mature in this way and yet so immature, like naturally, like she just wants a date from Gon, and yet she's doing these types of things. I mean, I'm sure she doesn't enjoy it. I mean, the guy she did it with was a fat, obese, vile person, but I don't know, hard to say. Anyhow, further on with the series, there are two heart-wrenching moments. One was with the octopus Chimera Ant. Obviously, if you saw that whole storyline, very touching. He betrayed his friends because he saw something very pure, very cool with this person that he didn't see with his Chimera Ant friends. and so he betrayed all his chimera ants to save this person. And it's just the fact that this guy's this cute little octopus dude makes it even more heart-wrenching. More importantly was with the whole story with the chimera ant king and this little chess Moji, or whatever the chess game's called, Moji girl. And it's so interesting and so cute, and yet at the same time so heart-wrenching to see the king slowly be turned about by this naive little innocent, very very weak human girl who is ridiculously good at this board game. And like, I don't want to spoil it, but at the same time most of you have already read it if you're watching this. But yeah, this for no other reason people need to read this series, just for this whole plot story with this girl and this chimera ant king. I mean, it's just that good. Like, this is something that cannot, this is such a good storyline. And I mean, if you compare it to other manga series with bad storyline and bad plot and generic plot, I mean, it's just ingenious. It's so heart-wrenching, dark, touching to see this. You know, we like the chimera ant for the longest time as a protagonist, or excuse me, antagonist, was just presented as this cold, dark, almost mechanical, robotic figure who had no hindrance to killing any other life form, even his own species, and he's just seeking power, seeking to rule the world. And we just naturally ascribe him to be something like Cell from Dragon Ball Z. And yet we see here for like the last 20 chapters him just slowly being turned around by this little weak girl who's beating him in chess constantly. This girl who's tremendously powerful due to her immense capabilities in this board game, but completely weak and useless in other areas, in physical strength. And we're just seeing like this king just slowly starting to change his perceptions in this world. Not to the point where, like, there's this one moment in this chapter I just saw where like the whole chapter was it was just almost like, you know, foreshadowing the possible idea that the king was starting to regret killing any sort of life, because the king was saying stuff like, there was this little child I killed once, and I'm starting to realize that there are many different types of strength. And then like the king was saying like, maybe that child I killed could have had the seed or talent to beat me in some other field of strength. And then the whole chapter was foreshadowing the king almost coming to a conclusion that he was regretting killing any form of life, and possibly regressing in all of his ways. And then you see like the thoughts of one of the royal guards who's almost panicking and begging the king not to continue along this thought process. And fortunately the king regressed and came to a different conclusion, which was that, you know, physical strength is the best type of strength. And I think this was a very good choice by the author. The whole process, the whole chapter was a very good choice by the author. Had the king come to the conclusion that we all dread, then he will become this sort of peaceful character, sort of like Android 16 in Dragon Ball Z. And that would have resulted in what? It would have resulted in the king becoming a good guy, and it wouldn't have really helped, because all the main characters and all the characters who we deem as the good guys in Hunter x Hunter would not have been notified. They would proceed with their plan and would have still ended up trying to take out the king, despite despite the king being good. I kind of just realized that this might actually happen. How do I know this? Because I mean, I kind of got a little bit of a hint by accidentally reading the wiki of the board playing chess girl, and because of that, I saw a very brief glimpse of the king dying, and then the girl next to the king, and I think the girl died too. And so, crap, did I just spoil this for myself without realizing it? Probably not. I mean, there's still a lot of plot twists to be said, but I mean, I started this video halfway through reading this chapter where the girl was being attacked by a crow, and the king had come back to his old sort of perceptions, and he went in to kill the girl. And then when he opened the door, you know, he found the girl being almost beaten to death by this crow, and just him just completely turning 180 and being all lovey-dovey and nice because of how pathetic this girl was. So maybe I just spoiled this for myself. Regardless, that'd be a great ending. Beautiful ending. This king sort of turning good, and yeah, pretty much the girl dying with the king, and then the good guy's not realizing this before the king dies. But I think it's a very cool ending if this is the case, because the royal guards are still bad. I mean, they've always been bad. They never change in their ways. So still be a cool fight and just ending. But wow. What can I say? What can I say? Awesome stuff, and yeah. I really would like to see what happens. Great story. Peace and subscribe.